Welcome to Around the House, sponsored by Romac Building Supply. I'm your host, Don Magruder. If you like today's show, please go to aroundthehouse.tv to subscribe to our YouTube channel and sign up for our weekly newsletter. In this segment of Around the House, Angela Sheppard from Chelsea Title will be joining us to discuss the mysteries of property titles. It's a big deal. On every real estate transaction, you want a clear and clean title. And it's very important that you understand the importance of it. So today we're going to discuss everything about titles, hopefully give you the knowledge and information so you know what questions to ask the next time you buy or sell real estate. So with that, I'd like to introduce Angela Sheppard from Chelsea Title. Angela, how are you doing today?
Good, how are you?
We are so glad to have you here. You're one of the main title people here in Lake and Sumter County, and we've got a lot of questions. But first, tell us about Angela Sheppard and Chelsea Title.
Okay, so I was raised in Hollywood, Florida. Grew up around corporate family. And when I turned, I think like 15, I came up here on a vacation with my very first boyfriend. And I loved Eustis and Lake County. So I moved up here as soon as I graduated, which was in '86. Been here ever since. I got into the title industry and mortgage industry in 2002.
So you've been in it quite a while.
Yes.
Now the thing about Chelsea Title, I understand y'all are a Fidelity company.
Yes, we are. We are actually owned by Fidelity Financial, and we are Fidelity National Title, which has bought Chelsea Title many years ago.
Okay, so this is the huge Wall Street group. You guys got a lot of horsepower behind you.
Yes, we're a Fortune 300 company. We are ranked #1 in the nation.
Where is your office located?
The office that I go to multiple times is my Donnelly Street office in Mount Dora.
Okay. Angela, people have questions about title. Someone had a question about something we discussed on today's show. How can you be reached?
Oh, I can be reached by email, social media, and our local numbers.
Okay.
So
let's talk about it. First off, when we talk about titles and property stuff, who buys title insurance? And at what point during a real estate transaction do you buy title insurance?
It would be when you're going to sell your home, and the seller chooses it for the incoming new owner.
Now, I want to get this straight because a lot of people, and I used to be confused about this. Title insurance is really for the protection of the seller. Just like private mortgage insurance is the protection of the lender, but ultimately the buyer has to pay for it in one sense or another, don't they?
Well, it's for the new homeowner.
Right.
You know.
In other words, the title insurance is for the new homeowner, and the seller has to pay for it.
Correct.
But it's part of an expense of selling the home.
Correct. Absolutely. Absolutely.
What services does Chelsea Title perform in the process? I understand not only you do title insurance, but you also handle the closings, don't you?
We handle all the monies, all the funds. We negotiate in between for the third party, which would be like the appraiser, the surveyors, homeowners associations.
So you're going to be that person to get those last documents,
Yes.
and where they do accounting for all the funds and how they're dispersed.
Correct. That is correct.
That can be very complicated because you're having to get a lot of ins and outs done on that. How do you keep it all straight?
Fidelity Financial knows what they're doing. We have an awesome portal that they use.
Okay, so they got an easy step-through process.
Yes, they do. Very easy step.
Angela, there's a lot of lawyers that handle title insurance, a lot of lawyers that do closings. Why should someone choose Chelsea Title over a regular lawyer to do this?
I feel cost. I feel service. We're also a direct underwriter to where we have control of the plant for our title commitments and searches and stuff. And we have a team of attorneys on staff that work in our underwriting department and stuff.
Okay. So it's just not one. You've got a whole group that looks over these things to make sure it's right.
Yes, we are literally positioned all over the nation, so I feel that bigger is better. With them being a Fortune 300 company, bigger is better. We have, I think, $1.7 billion in reserves.
That's pretty good.
So,
but the other thing also, if you're dealing with someone who's buying or selling property from out of state, having that out-of-state ability to handle the transaction, I'm sure, is a big deal.
Yes.
I guess the big question: how would you describe property title, a title of a piece of property? What is that?
Well, it's definitely not a car title that a lot of people think it is. And for a title, what I would think for me is the most important part of title would be making sure that you disperse a correct deed.
Right.
Would be,
So, and I think you bring up a good point. A lot of people think of a car title and it gives you ownership of it. But a property title is sort of quasi with the deed. That deed is that's your governing point that's registered with the city or county, or
right.
In our case, Lake County.
Lake County.
But the title is what gives you the ownership piece, isn't it?
Correct.
So both go hand in hand, right? What does it mean to have a clean title on a piece of property?
I had a feeling you were going to ask that. Well, to me, what it means is that we go way, way back. We don't just geographically do a search. We also search the homeowner, and we give clear title to where there could possibly be different types of liens or taxes that are owed, HOAs, encumbrances that have to be cleared and satisfied.
And I think that's where people have problems. I know the dirt's been here, the land's been here since the earth was made.
Right.
And I think Leesburg was incorporated in the 1850s. So someone probably owns your land from the 1850s. It's no telling how it was passed down and who owns it. So it's your job when you do a title search to find out how the ownership passed down and was a clean ownership and where it was located and all that?
Correct.
Okay. How far do you guys generally go back?
I think it's more than 30 years.
Okay.
I believe is when they go back, but then all that also just depends on how it was recorded and handed down.
Okay. Now, see, you have a list of things that you search for on title.
Yes.
Go over some of the things. What are you looking for specifically on titles that could present problems?
Well, we do have a whole list here. Wills not properly being probated, mistaken.
Let's talk about that a minute, because that's a big deal.
That's a huge deal.
In fact, you probably run across. When someone dies, say you and your wife own a piece of property, and the husband dies, or maybe a cousin, or you owned it with a family member, and someone dies, until that goes through a legal procedure called probate, that name is in both people's correct name. Probate determines who were their heirs and who now owns the property.
Yes.
So, if someone dies and you don't go through probate on a piece of real property, that could be a problem on the title, couldn't it?
That could be a huge problem. It will go through probate again because it wasn't done correctly the first time, which can, it can take anywhere from, 3 months to 6 months.
So that can delay a deal.
That will delay a deal.
I also understand forgery is a big deal. People sign stuff and do things they're not supposed to do.
Correct.
How often do you see that?
That we really don't see that. We don't see that often at all.
Okay. So. The other thing that I find interesting on what you guys do in title insurance is you do surveys. In a previous segment, we had a surveyor here, and they do a survey, and then you take that survey and you compare it to what's supposed to be the legal description. Look for encumbrances. Explain that to us.
Correct. Well, for instance, we just had an issue where we had a survey done, and then reading over our property description through the search, it showed that the actual house was built in the center of somebody else's property line.
Wow.
So, and we feel, I think getting a survey done is it's very important, no matter what. I would get a survey done if I was a cash buyer, or having a loan, a mortgage, no matter what, I would do it.
Well, and where it can get a problem, I understand, on titles is, for example, in the rural areas, I never knew this until a few years ago, dirt roads shift. They do. They do, based on rains and all that. Fence lines get put up, people build things.
Dedicating.
Yeah, you have a lot of utility issues. Those things have to be determined before you buy that piece of property, easements.
Yes.
So
yes.
That's part of your search, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So you go through and do all this search. All right, I guess you have to fix any problems before you can issue the title insurance.
A clear title insurance, yes.
All right. Now, what's the purpose? This is where it gets people thrown off. So you're going to do a title search, which is going to find out the ins and outs of the property, see if anything's comfortable, and then you guys are going to issue title insurance, saying that the title is now clean, I guess.
Yes. Well,
what does title insurance do?
It protects the homeowner from all the past, whether there could be liens or encumbrances or taxes that are owed from the prior homeowner.
So essentially what you're doing is, say if I owned a piece of property in Chelsea and I sold it to someone, Chelsea Title's taking over through the insurance part of it. They're taking the burden off me of that new owner saying that, hey, everything is above board, that title's clear.
Correct.
How often do you run across problems with titles?
I think for us, when we run across problems, would be more in our rural areas.
Yeah.
It's not like a subdivision to where you have plats and lots. It's more in the rural areas.
Okay. How long does it typically take to do a title, to run title search?
To run title, 3 days.
So it's
sometimes a little less if
quick.
We have to do a rush, yeah.
Okay. So you've done a title search, you've got title insurance now, you've done the appraisals, you've done the inspections, you've got all the financing line. Now you guys handle the paperwork. Tell me about that paperwork flow. Does the homeowner get to review the paperwork before they have to sign it, and what's the parameters on that?
Absolutely. They have we sent out our HUD, which is 3 days prior to closing, so they can go over the monies and the fees with their real estate agent and make sure that everything's on there properly for them, that they know exactly what they need to wire as far as monies go.
I'm told that during the closing process, a lot of times communication errors and that's where you generally have your problems. Do y'all say that?
Yes, a lot of communication error. I think what would be best for a buyer and a seller is to have that real estate agent that does stay in high communication with them and guide them. We are also very, very, very good with communication level. If you Google us, that's mostly what we are. It's 5 stars is because of our communication level is awesome.
Angela Sheppard, thank you so much for being our guest today. And thank you for watching Around the House today. And be sure to go to aroundthehouse.tv to subscribe to our YouTube channel and sign up for our weekly newsletter. Until next time, we will see you around the house.